Hey, welcome to the 2017 RFW Championship Series map poll quick looks for each of the 7 maps we will be using this year. Today we have Tunnel Vision, a map made by last username, iTruthful, FifthWhammy, and FreckleEars. This map has a unique mechanic that is shown off in the spawn pool. There are 2 different lanes in this map, a main lane and an isolated lane. In order to collect the wools, players must push a button in the main lane which will dispense the wool to be collected in the isolated lane. It is important to note that respawning is the only way to switch lanes. This map layout requires teamwork and coordination in order to collect the wools as efficiently as possible. Entering the main lane takes you to the majority of the map. It is a standard spawn drop, but players are immediately stopped by a sandstone wall in the way. To get past the wall, teams have frequently used TNT to blast through it, however making a pickaxe to dig through the wall is also an option. The sandstone structure doesn't just serve as a choke point, however. Traversing up the structure leads to some nice early game resources ranging from armor to potions to the important efficiency shovel to the first cannon supplies chest. Going downwards takes you to the first wool button. It starts off simple with a small dark area, cobwebs, and a spider spawner. There's a nice resource area here with a few iron blocks and a few diamond blocks. Afterwards, players are faced with a bridge over the void. Completing the bridge rewards players with some basic supplies and a nice diamond sword. However, completing the wool requires an ascent into falling creepers. If players can brave all of that, then they can press the button and dispense the yellow wool. Back on the surface, after the sandstone structure, we have a small house with various supplies in it. After the house, there's a water stream that leads all the way up to the UFO. The UFO contains some important supplies such as a villager who trades power 3 bows, enderman spawners, and the second cannon supplies chest. After the UFO, we have a small farm and a big tree. Breaking into the center of the tree and dropping down the hole leads to the resource area. This area is dark enough for the 3 spawners to spawn mobs. However, conquering this area rewards players with iron, diamonds, potions, and the third cannon supplies chest. Past the tree we have a snowy area. Underground there are some brewing ingredients and some iron blocks, as well as the second wool button. This button is extremely straightforward with no spawners and very few chances for PvP pressure. Dropping into the hole at the end leads to the button to dispense the blue wool. However, pressing it before a teammate has run the wool in the isolated lane will simply dispense the wool straight into the void. In the air in the snowy area we can find a mountain cliff. At the start of the cliff we have a buried house that provides a small amount of safety. However, the important supplies are at the peak of the mountain, where we have the final cannon supplies chest along with the emeralds required for the power bow trade in the UFO. If we ignore the cliff and just head up the mountain, we can find another area that contains the third wool button. Digging down after the portal leads to a useful supplies chest and some nether wart for potion making. In order to get to the button though, players must take the upwards path and avoid mob spawns and PvP pressure to travel full circle to get to the button underneath them. Now we can take a look at the isolated lane. While the sign at spawn just says there are no resources, it is also lacking another thing: terrain. The isolated lane is almost entirely bedrock, so the only way to get supplies to run the wools is for teams to pass them around from the main lane. We can get to the first 2 wool collection areas from this ladder. The yellow wool collection is straightforward, just head down this ladder and the yellow wool will be sitting right there. Blue wool will be a bit more difficult. This collection area is more PvP oriented and comes complete with vertical sections, dark spaces for mobs to spawn, and caps it all off with a void gap to cross before collecting the blue wool. If we take the other pathway, we can enter the red wool collection area. It starts off with a trek along the back of the lane, which then leads to a small downward digging section which drops off at the bottom to the void. Then comes an upwards dig while being exposed to PvP pressure. Afterwards, players need to brave lava, more void holes, more vertical sections, and more dark spaces for mobs to spawn. After all of that, players can make their way to the red wool collection area. Once teams have collected all 3 wools, they are presented with another challenge, the victory run. First, teams need to pass the wools around from the isolated lane back into the main lane. Then they need to find a way to shoot for the stars and land on the victory monument, where they can place the wools and claim their victory. This has been a brief and quick look at Tunnel Vision. Click here to watch a previous map tour of Twisted Ruins by ZZRules21, or click here to go to the playlist containing all of the map tours for the 2017 RFW Championship Series. Stay tuned for a map tour of the next map.